The next technique is called hybrid picking, and this means that you are combining the pick with the fingers. So one thing that I use hybrid picking for is when I have to play a large interval that will be difficult to play with standard alternate picking. So for example, I might be playing on a D and I have to go up to a B. At certain tempos that might be difficult to grab with your pick. So when you're using hybrid picking, you could just grab that with the finger. So you can get a great smooth sound with that. So again, back to the interval scales, these are great to practice with hybrid picking. So let's take, for example, the F major scale again, and let's try this with hybrid picking. When you're playing the scale straight up and down, or playing the scale in thirds, hybrid picking is not necessarily the best choice. But once you get into larger intervals like fourths and fifths, it's very helpful to get the sounds to be smooth. So here's an example of playing fourths with hybrid picking. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the lower note with the pick. Then when it goes up to the higher note, I will use my middle finger to grab that note. So for example, so I did pick finger, then pick finger, pick finger, and so on. And sixth, and sevenths. Hybrid picking has become a very, very popular picking style for guitarists because it combines fingerstyle and picking styles. So when you're holding the pick and you have the option of using the finger, you can get to a lot of intervals that might otherwise be difficult to play. That was an example of playing scales with hybrid picking. But you may have a passage that requires you to arpeggiate chords. So for example, if I had a chord progression that had spread triads going up like this, and I had to arpeggiate those chords, we can use hybrid picking to do this, and we can use two of the fingers instead of one. So for example, I would play the lowest note with my pick, play the next note with my middle finger, and the next note with my third finger. And we will get this. So. Now you could do that with alternate picking. But it's more efficient with hybrid picking. With hybrid picking, you have the option of having no nails or nails. I personally use nails because I like the way that the nails sound along with the pick. The nails almost turn into another pick. I also use a combination of the nails and the flesh, so when I hit the string, you're actually hearing a little bit of both. If you only heard the nail, it would sound like this. It's a very thin sound, but with a combination of the flesh and the nail, it's a bit fatter tone. And here's just the nail. It's thin. That's with both, so that's a chord. If I played with just the nails, it would sound like this. Kind of thin, much different tone. So I recommend with passages like that to play them as chords all together with hybrid picking and arpeggiate it.